Alright, one more Mario game to go for now in this little series of mine, and this is actually one of my favorite games. In addition to being one of the most important games of my childhood, this is probably one of my most played games from my childhood. Specifically, once again, the Game Boy Advance version because, again, my NES broke. Like, early into my childhood, my NES. I actually distinctly remember the title screen of this game turning green, and that's basically when I couldn't keep playing this game. So obviously I was very excited to learn there was a GBA port, and it actually has a new little intro, which is nice. Establishing a little bit more story, so you don't have to just read a manual to know the story of this game. This is probably one of my most played games of all time. I used to play this game constantly, especially when I got a DS, because the original Game Boy Advance did not have a backlight. I never had an SP, so obviously I was very pumped to not be able to play the game with massive amounts of eye strain. So yeah, once I got a DS, I played this game a bunch of times. One cool thing about the NSO version is you actually have access to Rumble, because this was a Game Boy Player supported game. So any GBA or Game Boy Player game on NSO does have the extra features. The other obvious example is Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga does have Rumble. Hello, welcome on in. But yeah, we're gonna get started, I guess. I'm not sure if this will be one stream or two streams, to be honest, because this game is like kind of pushing it. Also, I got a late start today from where I wanted to be. But we should have enough time to get through most of the game. If not, we'll finish it up soonish. This version is super nostalgic. Yeah, hi GB, hi Mario, hi Nicole, the Fops is real. Yes, the Fops is real. Full Fops glory, you could say. I don't know, that seems weird when I put it that way. Let's just move on. So one cool... Actually, we'll talk about that later on. We'll just hop straight into the game. But there's actually a neat feature where instead of having like two-player, you can have a Mario & Luigi alternating mode. It can be very interesting from the perspective of like item management. But they actually play the same. Like, they don't have the different physics like from Mario 2 or Lost Levels. So yeah, this game is my childhood. I almost died straight away, which is always a good sign for a childhood game. Once again, I'm actually using the analog stick because I grew up with the GameCube controller, therefore I'm not used to playing platformers with D-pad. Don't know if you'll save for very long, your internet's been cutting out. Oh, I'm sorry. Hope your internet stabilizes soon. That's never good when that happens. I feel like I have that happen quite a bit. I am, like, not entirely paying attention, which is the story of my life. However, I do know there should be a secret up here if we fly up. By the way, this was the introduction of the raccoon power-up. So you can't fly, you get this little room with a 3, because it's Mario 3. This is probably my favorite version of the game, for a very silly reason. Obviously, there are 3 main versions, and yes, Super Nintendo through All-Stars and GBA. I don't like how Mario doesn't have gloves in All-Stars. It actually throws me off for some reason. Because we're playing Mario and Luigi, this playthrough will be longer, because you have the little animations every time you swap characters, so this will cause the playthrough to be significantly longer, unfortunately. So this might actually be 2 streams, or like 1.5 more than likely. Yeah, this game is super nostalgic. This is probably my favorite 2D Mario game ever, though I also understand the arguments for Mario World. Though, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of World because I don't have nostalgia for it. I grew up with the GBA... I didn't even grow up with the GBA version, I bought it late. Yeah, just the music, the atmosphere, all of it's just really good. I really like the little voice lines. I feel like they found a good balance finally with this one of like having the voice lines to have that modern Mario touch, but not having them be as overbearing as in Advanced 1. Partly because you're not picking up and throwing stuff constantly, so they're not playing 50 million times. Now, I'm also going to say I'm not an expert in this game. So for example, we're not really going to focus on like everything in terms of like Easter eggs or secrets. This is going to be a fairly casual playthrough. However, there's like a bunch of secrets in this stage. So for example, we go down here, there's a clean heaven. There's also one in the end of this world too. There's also the warp whistle, obviously. If you stand on the white block and then hold down, you'll phase through into the background and be able to go behind the end of the stage to a hidden item room with the warp whistle. We're not using warps, obviously, for this playthrough. Again, the only game where I did use warps was Lost Levels, because that game is rude. So I didn't really feel like I had a great chance of getting through that game warpless. But at some point, again, I would like to do like a complete Lost Levels run, because I've never actually 100%ed it. Partly because I've played the NES version, and you have to do a lot of weird stuff to actually 100% that version. You have to play it like 8 times. So yeah, that's Warp Whistle number 1. Warp Whistle number 2 is down in this castle, so we'll get that with Luigi just to spread out our item inventory a little bit. But yeah, we're not going to actually use these. So that also means we're not seeing Boom Boom. But that's fine. We'll see him plenty of times as is. Yeah, you can just fly up here and find a secret door at the end of this, and also this is a really fast level clear. So even if you're just like trying to beat the game quickly, like a speedrun, I'm sure this is faster than trying to go fight Boom Boom. There's saving also, which is nice. You can only save like a hard save on fortresses and castles. Otherwise, you can make like a temporary quick save that only works once. In terms of other things I'm not an expert on, coin houses, or like special mushroom houses tied to coins. There was a bunch of these where like if you get enough coins in a level, you get a special item. I am not promising getting any of these because I, one, don't remember which stages they're all in. This is an easy one to remember. And 2, I'm not like the best at this game, even though I grew up with it. So just because I like grew up with this game doesn't mean I'm like a pro gamer or anything. So I would not expect to see any of the white mushroom houses. Maybe this one, but beyond that. There's also like a special thing where there's like a coin airship where if you get like the coin counter to line up with something else, you can actually get like a special coin airship. I've only seen that like 2 or 3 times in my entire life. I've been playing this game like a hell of a lot, so if I've barely seen it, I feel like that's saying a lot. You can also get a coin from like carrying an enemy into the goal, so that's just an extra little bit of insurance there if you're not quite sure if your coin count is good enough. We did get it though. We'll pick that up as Mario since he is the one that earned it. Meanwhile, we'll truck on as Luigi. There's also a coin heaven in this level, but I don't remember where it is. Truth be told, I always get a little bit turned around here. So yeah, we'll definitely tackle more Mario games after this though, even though this is kind of like where I'll take a break with Mario. I think I'll likely move on to the 3D entries, but I'm gonna go in a regular order with those, because if you want to go in order of, like, release, 64 would be first, but I have something in mind that would actually make sense to do Sunshine first, so I want to do 64 DS, is the twist. So yeah, by doing Mario 64, yes, that'll be after Sunshine and before Galaxy. So yeah, we actually have an extra P-Wing. by doing that airship, or the coin challenge in the World 1-4. I'm also garbage at this. Obviously you can, on NSO, do a rewind in order to easily get that, but oh well. You can also like exchange lives. So like if one person, like this is designed for like trading off, so this works better on GameCube, I feel, or like Switch than like on an actual GBA. But hypothetically, you could play Mario and Luigi mode like the original, but like physically passing off the controller instead of like, having literal 2 controllers. I'm kind of lukewarm on Mario 64 DS, but it's an important part of my childhood. My main issue is just it doesn't control that great, though there are analog mods for that now, so it's kind of a moot point. Alright, so far so good. We're almost to World 1, or almost done with World 1 already. We got 1 hammer bro and then the airship, so we're making good time. Again, this playthrough will be slower by the nature of having a Luigi around, so we do have to sit through the little animation every time. And we don't want the fire flower. I think I'll stick with the raccoon. And Mario's gonna be getting all of the items, apparently. That's like 2 fire flowers, isn't it? That's not great. I'm not really a fan of the fire flower in this game. I'd rather be a Tanuki or a raccoon. So another interesting detail is a lot of the transformations for the kings is actually different than in the NES version. So like we have one of the little snakes from Mario Advance, which, Super Mario Advance 4, it does make sense. So these are all auto-scrollers, which is not my favorite thing in the world. I'm not a big fan of these, just because they take forever. But this one's not terribly hard, I say, as I'll probably die a bunch, because I know my luck. In general, though, this is still very nostalgic. I got really far in the NES version as a kid, which surprises me in hindsight, because this isn't exactly an easy game. Like, we were having this conversation last stream, where it's like, this game is actually kind of hard. And I feel like I don't really think about that, because I've just played it my whole life to the point where I'm just kind of used to the punches it throws. That doesn't mean it is easy, but it does mean I'm just used to it. I mean, I can say that about a lot of games, really. Like, Sonic is a good example. Sonic 2 is like really hard, but I'm so used to it that I can get through it no problem, except for like Metropolis, which even in like the current version, like Origins, like it surprises me how well I can get through Sonic 2 now. Though widescreen helps with some of the cheap shots. I briefly had this fear that I was muted the whole time. But I don't think I was, at least I hope I wasn't. Okay, so Mario now has 2 Pete wings. That's not great, to be honest. Because if we line up so Luigi has to do a flight level, we might be in a little bit of trouble. You also got a perfect clear by doing every stage. So again, you get a little fancy animation, which is nice. Alright, moving on to World 2. Mario 3 is like a weird game because it's one that I think has actually aged kind of bad in some ways. Just because it was the template for like every Mario game going forward, for better or worse, so... It's one of those things where it's like, Mario 3 does this very well, but basically every other Mario game after this point gets into a bit of a rut where you have like, Grassland, Fireland, and so on. Or Desert Land, so you hit these tropes every time. And so, like, this game being the originator of the tropes, it feels better, but it definitely started a monster in a way. Mario World is actually a unique case where it's like, most of the levels do feel very original to Mario World, theming-wise, and it is something I do respect about that game. Again, even if I'm not like the biggest fan of Mario World, but again, that's like lacking nostalgia, so nothing the game does is inherently bad, frankly. Mario World is actually an exceptional game. But it is ultimately a case of I don't have everything memorized, so I tend to struggle a lot with that game, just by the nature of, like, getting bodied by a lot of, like, the challenges. Oh, I think I'm... okay, that is kind of correct. So this is another, like, special coin level, and I completely botched that. Yeah, I completely botched that. It's fine. But if you get enough coins, you can't get a special item. I don't think it's even that good. It's like an anchor or something, which is not my favorite thing. Yeah, I missed quite a few, so we're not getting this. Again, don't really remember the exact stages that have these. I'm kind of winging it, to be honest. I meant to look up a few details about the game. I kind of forgot, to be honest, because I was running late. Yeah, everything about this is super nostalgic, though. It's also funny because, again, this is a game that, like, isn't easy. But I feel like I can fly through it pretty quickly, especially this version, because I'm, like... I feel like the physics are so ingrained into my soul at this point that even trying to play the NES version now feels a lot harder. I don't know if that makes any sense, describing it that way, but... Again, Mario World's kind of the same way, where the GBA version has slightly tighter physics than the NES or the Super Nintendo version. So I actually feel like Mario World is very floaty, not floaty, but very loose. Which again is very responsive, but it almost feels too responsive. Anyway, first Boom Boom fight for real. This is trivial. Again, I feel like if you're not used to Mario 3, that is not an easy fight, necessarily. Especially the later variants that are really quite difficult. A lot of times you can just, like, one cycle. Alright, Luigi has, like, no items, so we're gonna go down here and get an item for him. God, why do we keep getting only fire flowers? Like, I could really use anything else, game. So another fun detail about this game is speedrunning, because of these little mini encounters. Oh yeah, that's another fun detail. This is the first time we've gotten hit this whole playthrough so far. But the hit system actually works different in Japanese NES Super Mario Bros. 3 versus NTSC. In the Japanese version, if you get hit, you revert all the way down to Small Mario, if I'm not mistaken. Well, in the North American version, you actually just go to Super Mario if you have a power-up. I actually don't know if that's the case for Advance. If, like, the Japanese version of Advance reverts you all the way down to Small Mario. It'd be easy to check, it's on NSO. I have the Japanese app installed. I didn't know that coin block was up there. As many times as I've played this game, you'd think I would know that, but I genuinely didn't. So now we have to break this little pyramid of blocks here. I was not lined up the pipe, that's on me, but it's fine. Again, we're not really struggling so far. World 3 is where the game starts to get difficult. The main complaint that actually comes up with Mario 3 is uneven difficulty, and I actually would echo that statement a lot. For example, I genuinely think World 3 is one of the hardest worlds in the game, but then, like, World 4 isn't that bad. That was here, right? Okay. It's a mushroom. That is not a mushroom. That is a mushroom though, so... sure. Well, that was a total guess, but it worked out. Damn it. Oh well. We're slightly more stocked up. So this level's kind of infamous, actually. I feel like a lot of like first-time players get really stuck on this stage to the point where it becomes one of the most like iconic levels. It's actually really easy. Basically, if you're running full speed, you can get through that tornado. Otherwise, it will like send you backwards. I'm gonna eat my words, aren't I? I'm actually taking it slow because I would rather not die in a level that I was just like trash talking as not being as bad as like it appears to be. So yeah, there's a little thing called the Let's Play curse. I definitely feel susceptible to it in moments like this, where it's like, as I'm saying, oh, this isn't that bad, I immediately struggle with it, so, yeah, I should not, you know, get overconfident even if I have grown up with this game. I definitely do still struggle with a few aspects, and we'll see that once we get towards the back half. Oh, that's the wrong way, but it's okay, there's a backup strat over here. So now we have this little vine that'll take us up to a little secret area. There's not really much here, if I recall correctly, just mostly coins and a pipe, but I don't think there's any, like, major power-ups. Some of these areas actually do have, like, good stuff in them. There's a P-switch in that one, so it's, like, trying to figure out the best way to get in there, but we're not gonna worry about coins. That feels like too much work. You also have this little, like, block structure up here for another power-up, so you can actually get back to full health, if you need to. So yeah, I'll be curious to see how long we go without dying, to be honest, because, again, this being my favorite of the 3/4 classic Mario games, I would like to be able to get through this game without too much headache. However, I know my luck, we're not going to get through this deathless, because some of the later stages are legitimately pretty rough. And even no amount of experience will make it, like, totally easy to fly through this game. Again, I'm playing it a little safe here. Alright. This game does feel a little bit generous compared to even like Mario 1, where it's like, if you're in a tight space like that, oftentimes you will basically get like a brief moment of invincibility, so like, you won't be instantly killed by a shell. And I can't tell if that's just like a real thing that happens or not, but it feels like there are a lot of times where it looks like I should be hit by a shell, but then somehow narrowly avoid it. I'm also pretty sure this game, in the Japanese version, might have the system of Mario 1, where if you get hit, and then get a power, like, all the way down to Small Mario, and then collect a different power-up, you only go to Super Mario. Which is the case for sure in Mario 1, but again, I'm not 100% sure if that's the case in this game as well. Also, by the way, this world is the last warp, has the last warp whistle. It's in this little secret area in the map, the top right corner. We might as well show that off, just to show all the enemies. There's like a roaming fire bro, actually, that has it, so might as well get it while we're here. We can actually kind of fly through the stage a little bit because we have the raccoon power-up. Traditionally, you're supposed to use the Buzzy Beetles to break through the blocks. With the tail, we can just break through it, no problem. I do feel like a lot of times when I play games like this on stream, I just kind of launch into like explanation mode, when it's like, I feel like I'm explaining things that are just very well known at this point, because like, Mario 3 isn't exactly an obscure game or anything. Yeah, I still feel like I'm explaining everything as if it is. I think we have a problem, actually, in terms of getting the warp whistle. I think this one actually has the hammer, which means we have a problem. I don't think we can actually get the warp whistle now because of that, unless we intentionally die as Mario on this stage, because yeah, there's no other way to swap off. So oops, I guess we're not getting that warp whistle, but basically in this upper corner, you can break that block, and get to a fire bro with the warp whistle. I think there's also a mushroom house with a frog suit, which actually would be super helpful for the next world, but oh well. I'm also not sure if we get a perfect as a result, because that does count as a... Like, does that count as a level? And therefore, will we get a perfect after this? Like, does it just count stages, or do they count the hammer, like the roaming encounters? Genuinely do not know, but that was just bad luck there. Again, not trying to be uber thorough, but I was trying to be as thorough as I could. But it's fine, no worries. I looked away for a moment, so that is on me. It's fine, this is an easy one, plus we get a fire flower anyway, which is good for the next world. Yeah, this is a case where normally I would not pass up a fire flower, or I would pass up a fire flower to stay Raccoon, Mario, or Luigi. But in the case of this, I would rather be Fire Mario because we're entering World 3. Most of the time, I would just prefer to be able to, like, float. I almost feel like it's easy mode in a way. Maybe that's part of the reason why I could get through Mario 3 as easily as I do, is because I'm just kind of used to using, like, all the power-ups and everything. Not trying to do, like, a, you know, damageless playthrough or anything. You can also use fire flowers to take out the Koopalings, but it is actually kind of difficult when the terrain is this uneven. By the way, fun story, it is actually faster to wait for the wand to fall to the bottom of the stage than jump up and catch it in midair, because the animation of Mario falling down off the screen takes longer, so speedrunners have actually timed it out to discover it's faster to let the wand fall into Mario at the end, even if it looks less, like, cool. Alright, 2 worlds down, we're only like half an hour into the stream, so I think we're making good progress, but if our progress is going to grind to a halt, it's gonna be here. World 3 is notoriously difficult. I feel like this is a genuine wall if, like, this is your first playthrough, because you have a lot to deal with. It is a water world, for the most part. There are some exceptions, and in general, I almost think this game does that occasionally, where it's like, here's a theme, also completely, like, breaks the rules of that theme. We'll see that a few times. It's not a big deal. A lot of games tend to throw in, like, a level that doesn't quite fit the exact theming of the world as a whole. It's not a big deal, but it happens a lot in Mario 3. And again, Mario 3 is, like, criticized a lot for an uneven difficulty curve compared to, like, every other Mario game. And yeah, World 3 is a massive difficulty spike if you're not expecting it. This is where a lot of people, like, game over, from what I've seen, and struggle a lot. I almost think something fun to do sometime would be to try to do a co-op playthrough of, like, some of these games, like the All-Stars or something. Because they do have 2-player, and NSO does support that, so being able to just, like, you know, walk someone through the game who's, like, never played Mario 3 before, I think would be really fun. This is also not a very original concept. I feel it's like a lot of, like, streamers I've seen, and, like, YouTubers I've seen have done stuff like this. So yeah, not a novel concept really, but it is something I have considered. We're also going into this as, like, Raccoon Luigi, so this isn't my favorite thing. Actually, this works out. This level's pretty ground-based. I'm also playing very recklessly here by not actually grabbing the moving platform at the beginning and instead trying to just fly through as much as I could. That was probably a mistake, as you could tell. Okay, first death. That's not surprising. This level usually trips me up, it feels like. Well, we made it to World 3 without a death, so that's not too terrible, I'd say. Right, we have fire this time, but I actually would prefer the Raccoon power for this, just because I think it is a little bit easier to navigate just by gliding over as much as you can, really. But this does give you the benefit of being able to, like, snipe enemies out of the air. Another interesting gimmick of Mario 3, or gimmick, or maybe challenge is a better word, is no level actually has checkpoints. You have to do everything, like, straight through. Which definitely does add a bit of challenge. Like, even Mario Lost levels, except for World 8, actually has checkpoints, so this is slightly more unforgiving in that regard, but most stages tend to be kind of short, so I don't feel like it's, like, the worst thing in the world, but it does come off as a little bit unforgiving. You know something else? This fortress coming up, I never can remember the solution to this one. So, like, there's a specific, like, door you have to go through. I can never remember which door it is. And it's really weird, because, like, I've played this game so many times throughout my life. Why can't I remember? I mean, to be fair, my memory is just kind of trash, to be very blunt. That was almost really cool, but oh well. Almost took out the Boss Bass. So there were two enemies, Big Bertha and Boss Bass. This might be Big Bertha, actually. Actually, I don't know which one is which, now that I think about it. This is another, like, coin stage, I'm pretty sure. It might be 3-8. I don't remember. Also, the fish respawns very quickly, so even if you actually take it out, it'll be back in play very aggressively, so I'm glad I got through that level as seamlessly as I did, because this also tends to be a bit of a wall, and one that I trip up on quite a bit. Alright, looks like Mario's fighting a Hammer Bro, so that'll be interesting. This one I think is like... The level changes mildly based on position, so if the Hammer Bro is above a tile with water, it'll be slightly submerged, otherwise I think it'll be on land. If I'm remembering correctly, because I may not be, but like right now we're on a tile that's directly above water, so I'm pretty sure that does influence the terrain of the actual level, which is a cool detail. Yeah, this fortress is weird. It's like, I can never remember which door is correct. I want to say it's like the one past the third thwomp or something, but this might be totally wrong. Alright, that is not correct. Okay, cool. By the way, every level has a timer, so yeah, we need to actually be kind of mosey in here. So that was like 1, 2, 3, and then that was door number 4. I think it actually might be further down. It might be this one? No, that doesn't feel right. Nope, that is right. I thought it was like door 6, so I think that might have been correct. There's actually a glitch on the NES version where you can enter the wrong door, and you have like a frame to re-enter the door, which will actually put you where you need to go. I don't know if that's in this version though, but it's also like a one frame trick, so it's very difficult.